We've lined up 20 stories featuring hard hits, angry cops, strange things, stranger things, and much more in episode 248 of Teslacam Stories. Mel was driving to work on I-35 in Austin. He was in the exit lane when wham, then bam!
Teslacam, I hope you're satisfied.
The driver of a rental truck tried to squeeze between Mel's Tesla and the truck that was in front of him. The truck hit Mel's left fender and sent him into the concrete barrier with a reverse pit maneuver. The Tesla bounced off the barrier and headed back across the entire highway into the median barrier before the Tesla was damaged beyond drivability. With Mel now stranded, the rental truck kept right on going, leaving him behind. When Mel called 911, firefighters responded and so did paramedics, but the police never showed up. A tow truck came for Mel's Tesla before police arrived, but they did call him later. He gave them all the information about the truck, including the license plate number, but they never called him back. It's been over a month now, and Mel still hasn't heard back from the cops. He emailed the rental company a photo of their truck and an explanation of what happened, but they didn't respond either. With both U-Haul and the cops ghosting him, Mel does want to give the driver of the truck the benefit of the doubt and assume he didn't notice his large truck hitting Mel's Tesla. His car is still in the repair shop with an initial estimate of $14,000, but that might increase once they finally start working on it. Mel doesn't seem too upset about this, but we find it super frustrating. Why won't the police or U-Haul do something to hold the driver accountable? This submitter was driving his Model 3 in Plano, Texas. When traffic stopped for construction up ahead, the Honda behind him didn't. The collision ripped the Honda's front axle and wheel off and immobilized the Tesla. Both vehicles were stuck, which ended up being a good thing. Keep watching and you'll see what I mean. Our submitter called the police before tow trucks arrived to transport the vehicles. When the police checked the other driver's identification, they discovered something that prompted them to immediately arrest him. The police took off with the Honda driver before our submitter managed to get his insurance information. This left our submitter with a wrecked Tesla and a tow truck driver asking him a lot of questions that he didn't have the answers to.
Yeah, this is mine.
Will it move at all?
Yeah, but the wheel is jammed up, so...
I understand that, sir. What I'm trying to say is I got to get it off the road. I got to pick this one up first.
Okay.
Then I got to grab yours. But if it can move, then I can pick this one up and we can get it in a parking spot. We'll have to bring another truck out here.
Sure, that
All right.
whatever works. I doubt it will move, but we'll see.
I understand. But we'll have to figure it out because I got to call a second truck.
Sure.
He did manage to get the police report number, so now he'll be filing a claim with his own insurance provider and including his Teslacam footage as evidence. Sadly, this isn't the first collision this submitter's been in. Remember this one, when a Model 3 was rear-ended and had a rear wheel ripped off? Yep, same submitter. This new collision happened just a few months after he'd received his new Tesla. What are the chances of that? Brian and his girlfriend Jen were driving east on I-70, headed home from a ski trip, when a Subaru driver lost control while attempting to pass traffic in the left lane. The Subaru slammed into the left quarter panel of the Model Y, ultimately sending the Tesla into the concrete barrier. Thankfully, nobody was injured, but the Tesla was rendered undrivable by the impact. The driver of the Subaru was very apologetic and accepted full responsibility. It took the Colorado State Patrol 30 minutes to respond. When the officer asked Brian what had happened, Brian told him, "Why don't you just have a seat in my car and I'll show you?" After watching the video, the officer replied, "Wow, that sure explains it." With that, he had no further questions. T was driving his blue Model 3 in High Point, North Carolina. Come to think of it, the Teslas in the first two videos of this episode were blue Model 3s too. Uh-oh. When T was partway through an intersection, his light turned yellow. Suddenly, an oncoming Nissan driver turned left across his lane, striking the back of his Tesla. You might be wondering who's at fault in this situation, but thankfully, a state trooper witnessed the collision and immediately determined who was responsible. The Nissan driver was found 100% responsible, and the trooper also cited him for failing to yield the right-of-way. Both drivers filed insurance claims, and both insurance providers came to the same conclusion as the state trooper. The Nissan driver was completely at fault. What's up with all the blue Model 3s getting wrecked in this episode? T's repair bill came to over $13,000, but repairs can't start until the shop gets all the necessary parts. Efe was driving along when, whoa! Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and say that SUV driver did not do a great job securing their load. I bet they just forgot to give the ratchet strap a tug and say, that's not going anywhere. After the mattress came loose and nearly hit our submitter, he honked to warn the SUV driver and they quickly pulled over to retrieve their lost cargo. It's time to announce the second winner of our RimCase giveaway, sponsored by Magback. We ask you to send us photos of your damaged Tesla wheels to enter to win a full set of RimCase, the solution to curb rash. RimCase from Magback is a product you install yourself to protect your Tesla's wheels from damage, and it can even hide some existing damage. The modular interlocking design makes installation easy. You can even swap out individual pieces if they get damaged, saving you money. Plus, RimCase blends seamlessly with your Tesla's Uber turbine or induction wheels. We put all the entries into this magical device to choose a winner, so let's give it a spin. Our second winner is Taylor Gear. Yikes! It's a good thing he's getting a full set of RimCase because he needs it. If you entered but didn't win, don't worry. You're automatically entered into next month's giveaway. We're giving away another full set of RimCase next month, so if you have curb rash Tesla wheels, enter now using the link in the description. Thanks to Magback for sponsoring the giveaway, and if you just can't wait, use our code to get 15% off when you order RimCase. Rohan was on his way home from work, and when a slower-moving Honda ahead of him began merging into the left turn lane, he started to accelerate. Suddenly, the Nissan Murano on his right dove into his lane. Rohan made an epic maneuver to avoid the Nissan while also staying clear of the Honda on his left. It was a super close call, but thanks to his reaction, there were no impacts and no injuries. Rohan wanted to shout out his cousin Vraj for convincing him to buy a Tesla. Jake was driving his Model Y down a highway in Cypress, Texas, when the Mustang in front of him lost its hood while driving 65 miles per hour. The Mustang driver kept his cool while gently slowing down and safely pulling over to the shoulder. If this ever happens to you, this is exactly how you should handle it. Don't brake too hard, keep the car steady, and slow down while using the gap under the hood to see what's ahead of you. Kevin was entering an intersection when a driver turning left failed to yield and collided with oncoming traffic. Kevin told us his son wants to see how many vehicles we misidentify in this video. Hey, what is that supposed to mean? Anyway, the blue Honda caused the collision while Kevin was driving behind a Maserati. Curtis was driving home from work when the impatient driver of a white car drove around an SUV waiting at a yield sign. Little did the impatient driver know, that SUV was an unmarked police vehicle. Now, there's some instant justice that was served ice cold. Speaking of cold, we've got even more crazy snow videos to show you. FSD Model 3 was headed up Big Bear with a friend for a night of camping when a storm suddenly rolled in. Our submitter was following his friend who was driving the gold Model X ahead of him. A few seconds into the storm, our submitter lost all visual contact with his friend. All he could see was the snow illuminated by his headlights. Suddenly, he noticed brake lights, and that's when he got the sense that something was wrong. Sure enough, his friend had lost control and was stuck in a snowbank. Here's where this story takes a strange turn. Our submitter stopped and tried to push the Model X out, but it was stuck deep in the snow. Neither of them had cell service, so our submitter used his phone's satellite SOS feature, enabling an emergency call to 911. Sadly, since they didn't have cell service, his friend couldn't unlock his Model X using his phone after getting out of it, and his key fob battery was dead. Now he was locked out of his own car. The emergency operator told them an officer was on the way. In the meantime, they headed into the city to charge our submitter's Tesla and find some cell service so they could remotely unlock the Model X. As soon as they had cell service, our submitter was called back and told a highway patrol officer was on the scene. So they turned around and rushed back to the Model X. The highway patrol made a few attempts to remove the Tesla from the snow from different angles. I'm no towing expert, but if the tow hook is on the front bumper of the Model X, couldn't pulling it out from the back damage it? Our submitter thought the same thing, and when he headed over to help, a Model 3 suddenly came speeding down the road. He had to jump out of the way to avoid getting hit. As you might imagine, the CHP officer wasn't too happy to see another Tesla wreck right next to them. Finally, the officer managed to get the Model X unstuck, and they thanked the officer for the help and went on their way. A little ways down the road, they pulled over to assess the damage to the Model X. While they were doing that, another car driving by ended up slipping. Our submitter's friend is sad about what happened to his Tesla, but it wasn't all bad. They actually got to see a Cybertruck making its way through the snowstorm. Our submitter sent this final message for our viewers. When it comes to snowstorms and blizzards, never speed if you can't see what's ahead, and know your vehicle's limits. Andrew passed a driver who could have used that advice. How was that even drivable? If I see just one "that will buff out" joke in the comments, then I'll laugh, of course. Dad jokes are the best jokes. As a matter of fact, we'll heart every "that will buff out" comment, so have at it. Let's keep the snowball rolling, shall we? James sent us this video after he watched the SUV in front of him gracefully spin out. James slowed down, turned on his hazard lights, and said, "Wham Bam will love this." He wanted to shout out Brian and Dan, who also love our videos. Thanks, guys. If you love our videos, now's a good time to make sure YouTube hasn't unsubscribed you. Yes, this is a thing that has actually been happening. John was on his way home, and as he rounded a bend in the road, a string of lights in the sky came into view. John had never seen this before and quickly called his wife, using his Tesla's hands-free calling, of course, to ask her to check online and figure out what it was. She quickly determined that the lights were... Actually, why don't you post your guess in the comments? We'll tell you the real answer in a little bit, but first, if you see something like this, who you gonna call? Oleg was driving his Model Y across the George Washington Bridge from New York City to New Jersey. Suddenly, he spotted a Ghostbusters vehicle with the license plate number ECTO-NYC. Oleg is pretty sure that wasn't Dan Aykroyd behind the wheel, but he slowed down a bit so his wife could take these photos. While we've got the suspenseful music playing, check out this video from Darren. When he witnessed this shooting star, or retired satellite perhaps, he wished that you'd subscribe to Wham Baam Teslacam, obviously. This submitter was picking up some pizza for his daughter's birthday. When he noticed another vehicle backing out of a parking spot, he waited so he could take it. Once the car had driven away, he lined up to back into the spot, and that's when he heard a gut-wrenching, evil laugh. He looked around and spotted a cart headed straight for him. Acting quickly, our submitter threw his Tesla in reverse and managed to escape the cart demon attack. That was a close one. A good Samaritan who'd been walking behind the Tesla corralled the loose cart after it bumped into a parked Chevy. Our submitter wanted to shout out his daughter Erica, who first noticed the cart demon approaching. And of course, he wanted to wish his daughter Brianna a happy 11th birthday. Herman was driving his Tesla Model Y in Santa Ana, California, when the driver of another Model Y made an illegal turn to reach a coffee shop, making them this week's Tesla behaving badly.
That Tesla man can't drive. That Tesla man can't drive. That.
Did you know we have Tesla behaving badly merch now? Check it out at whambam.com and pick up a mug or a hat for that one Tesla driver you're thinking of right now. Nicholas was driving his Tesla when a man on the sidewalk threw a purse right in front of him. We can clearly see something glass breaking as the purse hits the asphalt, so Nicholas thinks this might have been some sort of scam attempt. If he'd run over the purse, the guy could have claimed Nicholas had destroyed it. Thankfully, he won't have to find out since he drove around the purse and kept going. Nicholas is actually the same guy who sent us the thumbnail clip from our Wham Bam security cam video showing the most viewed security cam videos of 2023. We'll put a link to it at the end of this video. This emitter was stopped at a red light in his Model Y when a loud Corvette pulled up next to him. When the light turned green, it took off, screaming like a banshee. Once the Corvette had gotten a car length ahead, our submitter decided to floor the juice pedal. The Tesla pulled ahead, which is especially impressive since it was towing a trailer. And this is a Model Y long range. It's not even the performance version. This submitter received a Sentry Mode notification when the guy who'd parked next to his Tesla got out of his car. Sorry, I meant to say when the pirate who'd parked next to his Tesla.
Arr, matey! Hoist the sails and keep a weather eye on the horizon. There be treacherous Hondas afloat.
Whoa, that was weird. Okay, back to John's story. What do you think that string of lights was? Thousands of Starlink satellites orbit the Earth, providing almost worldwide high-speed internet access to thousands of subscribers, including me. On a clear night, you might spot some recently deployed Starlink satellites as sunlight reflects off of them. They reorient and stop reflecting sunlight once they reach their final orbits, but if you happen to spot them shortly after launch, you'll see them lined up in a formation known as a Starlink satellite train. That's exactly what John witnessed that night. Now, who you gonna call? Wham Baam, of course. Remember to watch this video to see the security cam clip Nicholas sent us that got over 1 million views. Or watch this one if you just want to see more Teslacam action.